For the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Commissioner President Wyatt.
Present.
Commissioner Vice President Webb.
Present.
Commissioner Andrews.
Present.
Commissioner Gray. Commissioner Gray. Commissioner Dr. Harris.
Present.
Commissioner Hembry. Commissioner Hembry. Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Malone. Commissioner Malone. Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Also present this evening is Mr. Rashawn K. Hassan, Superintendent, Mr. Cameron E. Cox, Chief Financial Officer and Board Secretary, Dr. Mark A. Williams, Chief of School Management, Dr. Elizabeth Filipatos, Chief of Student Services, Dr. Jean Gordon, Chief of Instruction and Programs, Chief Carletta Jones, Chief of Human Resource, Chief Vashawn L. Hill, Chief of Marketing and Communications, Dr. Danielle Mastrogiovanni, Chief of Equity and School Improvement, as well as Assistant Board Secretary, Mr. Jeffrey A. Morton. And joining us this evening, soon to be sworn in, Ms. Kaylin Marisol. And my apologies. Student Commissioner Jaslyn Colon and Wendy, pronounce the last name for me one more time. Califat. And joining us shortly will be Ms. Kaylin Marisol. Madam President, we have a quorum. Welcome to the business meeting of the Plainfield Board of Education. Members hope that you will find this meeting interesting and informative. We thank you for taking the time out to attend. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the media and public, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act. And the advance notice required therein has been provided to the Courier News, the Star Ledger, and Tap Into Plainfield on Wednesday, January 15th, 2025, to be advertised on Friday, January 17th, and also provided to the Plainfield Public Schools District website, the Plainfield City Clerk, Plainfield Police Department, and Plainfield Public Library for posting. Madam President, as we were scheduled to go immediately into executive session, while we have Ms. Marisol here, I thought it'd be prudent if we could go ahead and get her sworn in, if that's okay with you.
Yes, please do.
Ms. Marisol, could you join me at the podium in the front, please?
Is it? Yeah, she got it.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us. If you raise your right hand, I'll go ahead and swear you in as a student commissioner of the Plainfield Board of Education. This is the required oath for student commissioner pursuant to the Plainfield Public Schools The Future Is Now Strategic Plan 2023 through 2028. I state your name in full.
Kaylin Marsola.
I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Thank you. Do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the student code of conduct
that I will support the student code of conduct
of the Plainfield Public Schools,
of the Plainfield Public Schools,
and that I will
and that I will
bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
while expressing the collective voices
while expressing the collective voices
of the students I help to represent,
of the students I help to represent,
while advocating in this role
while advocating in this role
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I state your name in full.
I, Kaylin Marsola,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I possess the qualifications prescribed
that I possess the qualifications prescribed
by the district administration
by the district administration
for the office of Student Commissioner
for the office of Student Commissioner
of the Plainfield Board of Education,
of the Plainfield Board of Education,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I further swear or affirm
I further swear or affirm
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold the office of Student Commissioner
to hold the office of Student Commissioner
of the Plainfield Board of Education,
of the Plainfield Board of Education,
City of Plainfield,
City of Plainfield,
in the County of Union,
in the County of Union,
State of New Jersey,
State of New Jersey,
and that I have, to the best of my knowledge,
and that I have, to the best of my knowledge,
no code of conduct infractions
no code of conduct infractions
that would disqualify me
that will disqualify me
from holding the aforesaid office.
for holding the aforesaid office.
All right. Sworn and prescribed before me on this 21st day of January 2025, Cameron E. Cox, Board Secretary. I'm going to ask you to sign, and then we're going to get you a nice framed one right after that. And it's also attested by Mrs. Hine M. Wyatt, Board President, and Mr. Rashawn K. Hassan, Superintendent of Schools.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Let's get to work.
At this time, is there a motion to adjourn into executive session?
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved by Commissioner, Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Andrews that the board now adjourn into executive session for the purpose of discussing legal and contracts. And HR, you heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right? Motion carried. The board anticipates approximately 30 minutes in executive session. Heard the motion, are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
Mr. Cox, may you introduce our walk-on items so that we can,
Yes, Madam President. Just give me 2 seconds. I have I believe, 3 resolutions to read. Just give me 2 seconds.
okay?
Madam President, the first item will be listed under Business Operations. It will be item 12. Item 12 will be marked as a walk-on. The title of this resolution walk-on item will be RFP 2025-16 Board Attorney. Resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education hereby awards RFP 2025-16 to Shabazz and Woolridge Law Group effective immediately at a rate of $165 an hour. The next item will be item number 13, be a walk-on item number 13 for business operations, and it will be titled RFP 2025-17 Litigation Matters. Resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education hereby awards RFP 2025-17 to Antonelli, Cantor, and Rivera, effective immediately at a rate of $195 per hour. And lastly, for now, Madam President, we have item number 14 under Business Operations, walk-on item for RFP, titled RFP 2025-18, Labor and Personnel Matters. Resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education hereby awards RFP 2025-18 to Antonelli, Cantor, and Rivera, effective immediately at a rate of $195 per hour. Madam President, I believe that is the intent to vote on just those 3 items at this time.
Yes, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item P12 for general counsel.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Andrews, P12, and seconded by Commissioner Smith, that the board now approve P12, walk-on item P12. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? Oh, you didn't? I'm sorry, I thought it. Was that? I heard Mr. Andrews. I thought I heard you say second. Was that you, Mr.?
Second.
You second? My apologies. No, I appreciate it. I thought I heard it. Correction, that was a motion by Commissioner Andrews and seconded by Commissioner Vice President Webb to approve item P12. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve P13 and P14?
Do we have a second?
I'm sorry, that motion was by Commissioner Andrews?
Do we have a
Seconded?
second?
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Andrews and seconded by Commissioner Smith that the board now approve P13 and P14. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Let me call a roll. Commissioner Andrews,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Harris, Commissioner Hembry, Commissioner Vice President Webb,
I'm going to abstain? I'm sorry, I'm going to recuse myself from 13 and 14.
Yeah, those are the two we're voting on right now. Commissioner President Wyatt.
Yes.
Motion passed to approve P13 and P14, Madam President.
Thank you.
With that, Madam President,
Wait, did we do P12?
We did P12 first.
Welcome, our General Counsel, Ms. Khalifa Shabazz. Welcome to Plainfield Board of Education.
Yes, thank you, Madam President.
Madam President,
Yes.
if I may, at this time, I would ask if we could have some flexibility with tonight's agenda. We do have a presentation from Dr. Richard Grip. It is the presentation of the district's most recent demographic study. I would ask if you could entertain Mr. Grip making his presentation at this point, moving it up right before your report for this evening, Madam President.
As long as his presentation is not longer than my report. That means he has some time. Come on up.
Thank you, Madam President.
Dr. Grip will be joining us virtually, Madam President.
Okay, he's not here. All right. We're ready, Nick. Okay.
And please give him the ability to share his screen, Nick. Good evening, Dr. Grip.
Good evening.
With no further ado, I'd like to present, since I know there's another report after me, I don't know how long it's going to be your report, so hopefully I'll make it quick for you. So I'm going to share my screen, which is going to be a PowerPoint presentation. Hopefully you can all see that.
Yep.
I'm going to go through the presentation, and if we can just hold all the questions to the end, that'd be much appreciated. So, real briefly, we've worked with our company, Statistical Forecasting. We've worked with you before. We've worked with a lot of school districts, actually, and we've been doing this type of work since 1998 for a lot of districts in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area. Probably worked with more than 200 school districts around the area, and we've been the demographic consultant for New York State Public Schools since 2006. I'm the executive director. I have a doctorate in educational statistics and measurement from Rutgers University, and I still like to publish in this field, which is called school demography. It's a real passion of mine. So, what did we really study for your district? There's quite a few things. Most people think of a demographic study as projecting enrollments, but it's much more than that. So we did project out 5 years, but we also looked at who you are as a community in terms of race, age structure, birth counts, fertility rates. Then we looked at the school district and examined your historical enrollments district-wide by grade configuration, elementary, middle, and high, and by school for the last 10 years. We tried to determine how many birth counts happen in each elementary attendance zone, which would help inform us how many kindergarten students would happen 5 years later. We contacted the city to find out about new housing starts and how that could impact the school district. We compared your building capacities to current and projected enrollments so that we can see if there's surplus seating or a shortage of seating in all buildings. And finally, we mapped the students from 2 different time periods to see if there's really a change of where students live. So this is a graph showing the population of Plainfield. In 2020, which is the most recent census, this value right here on the right part of the screen, 54,000 plus, is really where the city is at. And it's expected to grow to over 60,000 people in 2050. That's from a third-party agency called the North Jersey Transportation planning authority. But you can see that the population in Plainfield from 1940 to 2020 has fairly been just going straight up. And it's really increased in the past year with more than about 5,000 people gained in the city. So who are you as a community? About more than half of the community is Hispanic, and about a third is Black African American in 2020. And that's different from 2010. In this time period, we're seeing an increasing Hispanic population and a declining Black population. The median age is about 5 years younger than that of the state. Almost 40% of the city is foreign-born, which is much higher than the state. Guatemala and El Salvador are the largest sources. In terms of education, 23% have a bachelor's degree or higher, which is much lower than the state. Median household income is about $71,000. There's approximately 17,000 housing units, of which about half are one-unit homes, that's single family or attached, which would be townhouses. More than half of the housing units are renter occupied, which is much higher than the state. That leads to a more transient population. And the median value of the owner-occupied unit is about $350,000, which is about $110,000 lower than the state of New Jersey. So here's all the schools located on your map of the city. And on the next map, we're showing the elementary attendance zones. And this includes the new school Hooker, which attendance area is sort of in the center here in this purple region. So let's talk about your enrollment trends. We always tabulate the enrollment based on your October 15 count. So this past October, we call that the census day, when you report your enrollment in the state of New Jersey. And it was just over 8,600 pupils, 8,603. And enrollments have been steadily going up in the districts since 2019-20. And if we go back even further, for a 10-year period, when it was 77, 34 and a half, that's a share time student, you gained 868 and a half students over this time period. That's a lot. So we use something called the cohort survival ratio method to project enrollments 5 years into the future. That's as far out as we go. We don't go out more than 5 because then we have to start projecting kids that have not been born yet. But as I mentioned, look at the increase in the population in the school from 1920 on. This is kind of sliding upwards. But when we look at the enrollments over the elementary, middle, and high school grade configurations, you see different trends. The elementary is up on the top in this blue line right here. You can see that the enrollment declined through 18, 19 year before reversing trends. The elementaries are going up. And I tell you that this is one thing you want to pay attention to tonight, because if the elementaries are going up, that means that the middle and high school eventually will go up as well, because they have to move through the system. So the middle school, you can see, has the middle school grade configuration had been going up through 21, 22 before it started to go down, probably because it's mirroring what happened back here in the elementary population. But that's going to change. The high school population has been pretty stable until the last couple of years when the enrollments have been going up. Again, the reflection of what happened back here in the middle school population when it was going up. So again, we use something called the cohort survival ratio method. It's sanctioned by the state of New Jersey. And it's really simple is we're calculating what's called a survival rate or a grade progression difference from one year to the next. So I'll give you a simple example here. If you have 100 first graders in 2023, and the next year they become 95 second graders, you lose 5 children in the net. That's 95 over 100 or 0.95. We compute these grade progressions for 13 grade levels. First to kindergarten, all the way up to 11 to 12. And if the values are above 1, it's showing that you're gaining students year over year, which we refer to as inward migration. And if it's less than 1, it's outward migration. So we compute these ratios for 10 historical years, and then we take an average, usually from the last 4 or 5 years, and project those onto the most current enrollments to project future enrollments. 7 of the 13 were below 1. And that doesn't really show a clear pattern of migration. Some districts may have 10 of 13 below 1 or above 1, so you can say that you have a clear pattern, but you do not. You do have 3 survival ratios in the 2020 year, which was the first greater than the number of seniors who graduated from the prior year. So let's just give you a simple example. If you have 500 seniors graduating and you have 600 children coming in from kindergarten, you're gaining 100 children, 600 minus 500 children in the net right out of the gate. And the KR values, kindergarten placement, have been larger during this period due to the larger entering kindergarten classes that you're having. So here you're seeing the historical kindergarten replacement over time. It started increasing until it's kind of leveled off, but that's because these kindergarten counts coming in are much bigger compared to what's leaving as seniors. This graph just shows you the kindergarten replacement in gray from the last slide up against the enrollment change to the district 1 year, year over year. And what we can see, in 7 of the last 9 years, the positive kindergarten replacement has been offset by outward migration. So if you just look at the most recent year, 24-25, you had a gain of 232 and a half kids due to kindergarten replacement, but your overall change of enrollment in the district was -4. So that means you had a lot of children moving out of the district to offset that kindergarten replacement. So we use births to project kindergarten children 5 years later, and we looked at births from 2009 to 2022, and they were fairly stable in the middle of that period, and then they jumped outside the historical range in the most recent year. You can see it's now up to 1,000 births in 2022, and that's slightly higher than what happened in 2009 on the other end of the spectrum. So you can see what I'm talking about, this big increase in births just in 2022. I can't tell you whether that's going to continue, but at least it's a possibility it could, and if it does, of course, you would have more kindergarten children 5 years later. So when we look at how many children are born in Plainfield, this is the birth year in the second column, is the number of births, and then how many children come into the district 5 years later, you can see that you're losing quite a few number of children that are born in the city compared to coming and enrolling in the district. Because these values are much below 1. So they could be moving out of town, they could be going to private parochial schools, but not every child that's coming here is coming to the school district. So when we look at the first partition by attendance area, and I partitioned it according to the current attendance area, including Booker. So you're going to see a lot of births here for Booker. Booker has not existed over this time period, but we're using this just as a point of comparison so you can see where the births lie over the last 12 years. But the Booker zone, of all the different elementary attendance areas, has had the most births, almost 1,900 births over that time period, and the Cook zone has the fewest. So when we look at the births at something called the census block level, we're going to show you the darkest blues on this map are where the greatest number of births are occurring. The central part of the city and also in this western section. This is 2009. Let's see what happens when we advance to 2021. It's changed. We use the same scale, so you can see where the greatest number are occurring. And when we look at the aggregate number of births over that time period, where are the greatest number of births? Again, it's down the central corridor of Plainfield. So in the Robert, we look at what's called your age pyramid, which is nothing more than the percentage of males and females by age class. So it starts with an age class of 0 to 4 and goes all the way up to 85 and up. So orange is males and green is females. And back in 2010, the largest group for males was 25 to 29, and for females it was 0 to 4, which is your preschool population. Now, we're going to advance it to 2020. If everyone stays in place, you would expect the largest groups would just be 10 years older. But that's not the case here. The largest groups in 2020 were the 0 to 4 population for males and the 5 to 9 population for females. So that's telling me that you're having a lot of migration in the community. People are not staying in place, and that's probably also because you have a 55% renter-occupied city. So when we look at the change in the male and female population over time, the blue is the greatest change over that time period, and that's in the 10 to 14 and the 5 to 9 females, that's their school-age population. You're having big increases in the school-age population in the last 10 years. Biggest decliners, 25 to 29 for males, 45 to 49 for females. So we did call the city about proposed improved new housing. There's a lot of new housing projected, over 4,200 new housing units, all of which will be multifamily units such as apartments. Unfortunately, the site plans for many developments have not been approved yet and not been submitted to the planning board. The site plan is where we find out the bedroom distribution. And because the bedroom distribution were not available for a lot of developments, we could not estimate the number of children from those developments. So we can only project children for the ones where site plans were available, and we're projecting 108 school-age children in those units, which is not much, and I'll show you why it's so little. Here's where the developments are located. When you have time, you can take a look at this map, but again, most of it's right on the South Avenue corridor, right down the central part of Plainfield near the train stations. And when we look at the number of new housing units that have happened in the last 6 years, we looked at our elementary school at Kenton's area, you can see that there has been over 1,000 units been constructed in the last 6 years in Plainfield. A lot of them in the Booker zone, and the Cook zone, as well as the Farm zone and Evergreen zone. And this is where we're generating a lot of our data for how to project the number of children in the new development. So, as we said, in the last 6 years, you've had about 1,000 units that were recently constructed. We went back and went to your student address database and calculated how many children currently in 24-25 are living in these new developments. And there's not many. There's 107 children in 1,000 units, which is simply a yield of 0.107. The ones in red up here are affordable housing units. They're totally affordable. That's why the values for their student yield are much higher than a lot of the rest. So when we look at home sales in your community, you can see a peak in the mid-2000s before declining due to the housing market crash and banking crisis in 2008 to 2012 period. Sales have gone up into around 2018 before they reversed trend again. And I attribute a lot of the decline in sales due to the mortgage interest rate increases that we've seen. So if you look at the number of home sales by census block in the last 5 or 6 years, the greatest number of sales are in the northern part of the city and the southern part of the city in the Clinton and Evergreen zone. So let's talk about what we probably really want to talk about, which is enrollment projections. But the reason I'm telling you about all the other things tonight is that I want you to understand where some of the numbers are coming from. They're coming from a changing age structure. We have a lot of young children moving into the city. So we projected for a 5-year period. We did 2 sets of projections, one based on a cohort survival ratio average of the last 4 years of work ratios and the other on the last 5 years on average. Either case, enrollments are projected to increase throughout the projection period. You can see here, the first one is projecting 550 students and the other one is 491. So when we look at how those projections pan out for the elementary, the middle, and the high school grade configurations, you can see that the middle and the high school configurations are going to bear the brunt of the increase. There's still a little bit of increase at the elementary level, but not as much as the other 2 grade levels. So this is probably going to be a slide you may want to talk about amongst yourselves. This is called a capacity analysis sheet, where for each school, we have the capacity of the building, and that's something that is arbitrary, and there's many different ways to calculate a capacity. This is called a facilities efficiency standard capacity calculation, and we're comparing it to your enrollment currently, as well as the projected enrollment 5 years later. Anything in red that you're seeing on this sheet is showing a shortage of seating. So many of the buildings currently in the district have shortage of seating, like Hubbard and Cedar Brook, those are 2 of the larger values, and the high schools. And then over time, due to the increasing enrollment that's projected, those numbers are projected to go up. So you certainly have an issue going forward. Almost 700 inadequate seats, if you want to call it, at the high school in the next 5 years. So it's been very, very tight. Same problem at the middle schools at Maxon and Hubbard, roughly around 300 unhoused students. That's the fancy word for inadequate seating. And the last thing we did is we mapped your students at 2 different time points, the 1920 year and the 24-25 school year. And you can see in 24-25, we're going to talk about most of the students around the Sound Avenue corridor. Every green dot stands for a student in pre-K to 12. We aggregated the number of students by census block, so you can see where the greatest number of students are. This is in 1920, and this is that dark magenta type color, maroon. And then we advanced it to 24-25, same scale, and I'll just toggle back and forth. And you can see there's really not that much of a difference in the last 5 years of where the greatest number of students are. But of course, census blocks are different sizes, so to standardize it, we divided by the block's square mileage area to get the number of students per square mile, which is referred to as student density. So we looked at it in 1920, the darkest color is dark green, would be the greatest number of children per square mile. Advanced to 24-25, same scale, and you can see I'll toggle back and forth, not much of a difference in the last 5 years. The last thing we looked at was student yields, which is the number of children per housing unit. And the greatest number of children are in the dark purple on this map. Again, this is from 1920, so let's see what happens when we advance to 24-25. And it does shift around a little bit, but not greatly. So in my opinion, there really hasn't been much change in a lot of these metrics in the last 5 years. So to sum up tonight, enrollments are projected to go up in the next 5 years, but the gains are not projected to be uniform across the grade configurations. The biggest gains are projected at the middle and the high school grade configuration. There are a lot of new housing starts planned. There's more than 4,200 to come on board, but they're likely to lead to fewer students than anticipated because, as we showed you in that one slide, the number of children per housing unit in a lot of the developments that they're building in the city are not yielding many public school children. A lot of them are empty nesters, working professionals without children, and that's what they're going to probably continue to attract, those types of demographics. So with that, I would open up to questions from the board.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Grip. Do we have any questions from commissioners regarding this information? No questions, any comments?
Just to say, thank you, Dr. Gribb. It was a very thorough report. No, I actually appreciate when we received these, so thanks, administration, as well.
Yes, this is very important information that we absolutely need in order to move forward and make the necessary decisions that we're going to have to make in the near future as far as strategizing to bring on additional space for our students. And that's a part of a larger conversation that we've been having and that we will continue to have and advocate for. So we appreciate the administration and Mr. Grip for your presentation again.
And again, I would just echo those same sentiments. Thank you for working collaboratively with our school district and our administration. Dr. Grip, this is the second demographic study that you've completed for the district since going back to the 21-22 school year. And the data that you provide helps us as we lobby for additional resources to help support the children of this community. So thank you.
Sir, you have a good evening as well.
All right. Is there anything we need to go ahead and remarks with? Okay. All right, and now for my remarks. Don't worry, it's going to only be about 4 minutes longer than his presentation. I got y'all though. All right, so good evening, everyone, again, to all of you here in person, and for those of you who may be with us virtually as we gather to conduct the business of Plainfield Public Schools at our January business meeting. I want to start by acknowledging that January is Board Member Appreciation Month, and it is truly an honor to serve alongside such a dedicated team of individuals who who prioritize the success and well-being of our young scholars and the families that we serve. Your hard work and commitment to this district are deeply appreciated. I'd also like to recognize that one of our commissioners is celebrating her birthday today. And your decision to join us tonight and your dedication has not gone unnoticed, even on your special day, which is a testament to your unwavering dedication and support. We thank you for spending these few hours with us as we continue to advance the work of this board. We promise we'll be done before 12 a.m. Not 11:58. Got you. It is also my pleasure to welcome our student commissioners who have joined us this evening. Your voices are critical to ensure that our decisions reflect your needs and involve your perspectives of our student body. I am proud to highlight that our students continue to shine academically and athletically, with many receiving scholarships for their achievements. Notably, one of our scholarship recipients is none other than Miss Wendy Kellifat. She just received a scholarship from the Frontiers at their MLK breakfast celebration just yesterday. So congratulations on your accomplishments. We are all very proud. As we wrap up January and prepare to enter Black History Month, let us continue celebrating the contributions, our culture, and the achievements of Black leaders past and present. While February is a dedicated time for this reflection, we take pride in recognizing the history every single day and working hard towards equity, justice, and a brighter future for all of our students. On another note, I want to address some developments surrounding charter school expansions in our city. Currently, the City Council is holding their City Council meeting that they usually have on Mondays, but in lieu of MLK Day yesterday, the city was closed, so they're having a meeting this evening, and we could not be in attendance to advocate for concerns for our school district. But last week, Quinn City Academy presented its expansion proposal to the planning board, which identified necessary changes requiring further review. So they're gonna go before the planning board again. Tonight, the City County is discussing the expansion of College Achieve, which includes a healthcare pathway partnership with Kane University. This partnership mirrors the program that we already offer through our partnership with Rutgers University. And unfortunately, we can't be there to voice our concerns, but I wanted to make sure that I make note of that here and speak for the board in my role as president, but not officially because the board hasn't discussed this matter as a whole. But personally, I want to just share that I believe that this expansion directly competes with our district and that the process has lacked inclusivity and equity. And as we continue to fight to have a seat at the table with the city administration and work together in a collaborative effort, we have not been successful in doing that, obviously, because we're here today trying to address this concern that it seems to be ongoing. You hear from the report that we just received that we're going to need more building space. We need more classroom space for you all as students, for our students across the district, and it seems hard for us to do that with all of the incoming developments and all of the apartments and the incoming students that are gonna come with it. So thank you to our administration for working diligently in those efforts and trying to ensure that we do have a seat at the table and that the conversation continues to happen. And we will work tirelessly until we get what you guys deserve. We remain committed to advocating to the district's interests and needs, ensuring that we have a seat at the table, and to ensure that we make the best decisions to impact our students in the day-to-day operations. And so now past that, I'd like to highlight some recent accomplishments across our district. And excuse me if it's a little redundant because I do still have a highlight video of everything happening in Plainfield Public Schools. But Jaslyn Robinson became the first PHS athlete to receive an offer to play flag football at Eastern University. Joel Cordoba graduated early this past December, signed his letter of intent, and he now attends Kent State. I believe that's first to happen in so many years. So I think he's like the second in so many years. I didn't have that information, but it's awesome. The girls' basketball team holds a 9-7 record, 3-3 in the county, and ranks number 2 for their group. And our boys' basketball team has a 13-1 record, recently defeating Elizabeth and earning the number 1 spot in the state according to NJ Top 25. Now, they just defended that spot after losing to them by just 3 points in the state championship game last year, so that was a big win for us. We played at Kane University this past weekend. Jamid Collins is a sophomore bowler, averaging 221 points per game and represents us with excellence. They also played earlier today, from my understanding, in a county or state bowling tournament. So kudos to our bowling team. Obviously, our students are excelling beyond the classroom. The Athletic Leadership Council recently volunteered at Complete Care Nursing Home, spreading joy to all of the residents there. And meanwhile, our PA students showcased their talent in the MLK Theater Showcase last Thursday, followed by stellar performances at the Frontiers MLK Breakfast as well. And finally, I want to welcome our new board attorneys, Shabazz and Woolridge and Antonelli Cantor and Rivera. We are excited to work with you as you join us in serving the needs of our school district. I'd also like to thank the Bush Law Firm for their nearly 4 years of experience and service with Plainfield Public Schools. Their contributions have been valuable, and we appreciate their continued support in other capacities. Before I close, I'd like to announce that I will send the committee assignments to the board secretary this evening for the record and publishing. And as always, I will end my remarks with a highlight video that showcases even more moments of Plainfield pride and excellence across our district, showing how our students shine bright through everything that we have going on and highlighting all the positivity and greatness of our district. Let us continue to move Plainfield Public Schools forward.
It has been a season collectively of frozen aspirations.
right. Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that, Marketing and Communications Department. We appreciate you. And now, on to our superintendent's report.
Madam President, before I provide my report, I want to defer to our student commissioners because they have reports to deliver this evening.
Yes, yes. I forgot I put you guys before him. All right, student commissioners, you have the floor.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to be talking about overall what we've done because it's only my second meeting. So, to improve attendance rate, we have started a mentorship program called Partner in Success, where students are paired up with different staff administration throughout our district. The goal is to identify barriers to attendance and motivate students to come to school.
Awesome.
At our school, we go on many field trips such as bowling, rock climbing, supercharged. We have been to the Thomas Edison Museum, ice skating, the Paradox Museum at American Dream Mall. The field trips give students exposure and it gives them credits for gym. For the month of January, history classes acknowledged Muslim heritage, and on January 15, Pinnacle acknowledged human trafficking. On January 10th, seniors had a field trip to the China Buffet to celebrate National Buffet Day.
All right. Why didn't y'all invite the board? We like to eat too.
We also have groups that are facilitated by Mr. Jesus and community organizations such as Iris House and NJ4S. NJ4S stands for New Jersey Statewide Student Support Services. Just so you know, that agency supports youth mental wellness and prevention. We've also had people from the Army, Marines, National Guard come speak about joining and the requirements to join and the benefits. Juniors and seniors took the ASVAB to assist with the enrollment into U.S. Armed Forces. We went to college fairs at FDU and Keene. We participated in the HBCU fair. And Lincoln Tech visited our school to talk about their program. Union County Tech School also had open house that we've been to. And we had Randy Burlow had his own construction business he came to talk about. And Kaylee Burbride came to talk about how she's an entrepreneur as a fashion stylist, and she worked for many famous people. We've also had TSA spoke to students about employment opportunities.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. Good
I mean,
evening.
look,
Got me
you can tell
saying
where
good
my
morning.
head's at already. I'm just thinking about tomorrow morning. I'm sorry, guys. Good evening, everyone. So today, I'm going to talk about what Plainfield High School has done through the months of December and January. December, 10 talented high school students attended the Union County Leadership Conference, and this event provided students with the opportunity to exceed in their leadership skills and participate in collaborational workshops. They connected with other students from across the country, and students were able to attend Keene University Nursing Center as a trip. The trip offered students a chance to explore medical field and gain practical insight on healthcare. Students toured state-of-the-art facilities and absorbed cutting-edge medical equipment. They also visited the stimulation labs and saw real-world medical scenarios. This experience gave students a glimpse into if they wanted to go into the medical field and what it would be like to participate in the medical field. 72 of our students at Plainfield High School applied for the National Honor Society thing. This shows that they have a strong interest in the dedication and ambitions to joining the program, which would put them out there for the careers and would be great for their college application, as well as the program helps them in their community service hours and shows them the vision, basically what they need to do. Then we had an instant decision day, colleges like Ramapo University and JCU, where they had a one-to-one interview with the college administrators to see if they were going to be accepted into the colleges or not. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I know this is your first meeting, but if you would like to share, you have the floor.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay. So I'm just going to say this off the top of my head,
Go ahead.
so I could just think about it. So we continue to have the Keene Scholar Academy program at our school where kids excel at their grades and earn college credits. We also have gone to Keene and the HBCU fair as well as the NJIT trip where kids were able to learn more about the engineering field. Many were interested, many, thought about applying there as well, because I spoke to some of the students as well. We also participated in the Frontier annual breakfast. We had an oracle presentation from the theater studio and a vocal presentation from the vocal studio as well. We continue to have our Honor Society Club, which is very much thriving right now. We just accepted our new incoming members, so we are going to start planning their induction ceremony, and we're just very happy to have them. I think that's everything that I can get from the top of my head.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, all three of you. Please continue to share with us at board meetings, of course, but outside of board meetings, keeping us updated and sharing your concerns, asking whatever questions you have of Mr. Hassan and his administration, as well as board members, okay? All right. Yes.
Commissioners, before I get into my official report, I would ask that my team members, members of the executive leadership team, please join me here at the podium. During the organization meeting that took place earlier this month, we did pass a resolution in recognition of School Board Recognition Month here in the state of New Jersey, which is declared to take place during the month of January. So I'd like to take a moment to, one, read this resolution again for the record, and it states as follows. Whereas the New Jersey School Boards Association has declared January 2025 to be School Board Recognition Month, a time when all residents can acknowledge the contributions made by our local school board members. And whereas the Plainfield Board of Education is one of 581 local school boards in New Jersey, which sets policies and oversees operations for public school districts. And whereas the Plainfield Board of Education embraces the goal of high-quality education for all New Jersey public school students, and whereas New Jersey's local school boards help determine the educational goals for approximately 1.4 million children in pre-kindergarten through 12th grade, and whereas New Jersey's 5,000 local school board members who receive no remuneration for their services act as advocates for public school students as they work with administrators, teachers, and parents for the betterment of public education. And whereas school boards strive to provide the resources necessary to meet the needs of all students, including those with special needs. And whereas boards of education provide accountability to the public, they communicate the needs of the school district to the public, and they convey to school administrators the public's expectations for the schools. And whereas New Jersey can take pride in its schools, which rank among the nation's best in key achievement indicators, such as the National Assessment of Educational Progress Scores and the preparation for college through advanced placement offerings and SAT assessments. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education does hereby recognize the services of local school board members, especially our own, and throughout New Jersey. And here, we join communities statewide in observing January 2025 as School Board Recognition Month. And be it further resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education urges all New Jersey citizens to work with their local boards of education and public school staff towards the advancement of our children's education. Want to take a moment to say thank you to our commissioners. It's because of you that we are able to move Plainfield Public Schools forward, and we're able to do that unapologetically. There are a lot of changes taking place in the educational landscape, and we all understand the hard work that you put in, and you're here because you want to make sure that we continue to do a good job and support our students, like our commissioners who are here this evening. So, I just want to present you all with a token of our appreciation as an administration, and to thank you for your hard work and your dedication as school board members here in the state of New Jersey for helping us move Plainfield Public Schools forward. Whoever this is, I'm sorry that I ripped up the tissue that way, but I just want to read this. This award here is presented to our board president, Mrs. Hanae Wyatt, in grateful appreciation of service to the students of Plainfield Public Schools. So all of the plaques have the same language, and we hope that you all take this as a token of our appreciation, not just from our administration and our students, but from the members of this community for the work that you do to move this district forward and to put Plainfield Public Schools on the map, not just here in New Jersey, but throughout the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan and the Plainfield Public Schools Administration. We appreciate you all. Keep doing what you're doing because we are definitely moving Plainfield Public Schools forward.
So you want to come?
We're going to come up and get those, yes.
Yes.
Yes, the board, the entire board, please. Come on.
Miss Henry said, she said, put the plaque back, give me some chips.
Congratulations. Thank you. This is nice, isn't it? You go right back in there. You don't drop it. Yeah. I don't want to put my fingerprints.
Throwing that at the kids when they ask you for something and they'll ask you.
I got one thing here about the third one.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Thank you, thank you.
Always, always. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for everything.
I want to say thank you.
Hey, Danielle, nice to meet you.
No, he did good. I usually do though.
I get a hug this time?
No hug, I usually got, bro.
You pick this up?
You ain't had a break. Hi.
Nick, if you could cue up the presentation.
Now my
Right.
So I would ask at this time if everyone could join me in a moment of silence for the memory of Mr. Barry Young. We recently lost Mr. Young, was recently served as the district's security coordinator. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. So I'll have a few slides I want to go through today. I want to share some high-level results from our fall 2024 survey. Happy to report that we had 6,645 participants across each of our 3 stakeholder groups. That included students, employees, and parents. And students who participated in the survey were students in grades 5 through 12. Now, I will also provide some brief highlights from our recent teacher roundtable. That was a great discussion. It provided me an opportunity to have an intimate conversation with 2 representatives from each of our schools. We will continue the cadence of providing these employee roundtable experiences once per month moving forward, because again, it provides us an opportunity to hear from our frontline team members. On January 16th, we launched our Mystery Reader campaign. This is a new initiative being led by the Office of Instruction and Programs as a part of our district's literacy collaborative. So this initiative helps us bring literacy to life by having mystery readers or surprise guest readers visit our schools throughout the district, engage with students with interactive read aloud. So our kickoff took place at Stillman. It was absolutely a great experience. I want to say thank you to Dr. Marianne Tankard for leading the initiative. There are more great projects that are going to be a part of this literacy collaborative. One initiative includes us building our own bookcases or bookshelves here in the district. We call them the Cardinal's Nest. We are going to partner with local businesses in the community to place those libraries and establishments like barbershops, beauty salons, restaurants, et cetera, to really encourage that love of reading throughout the entire community. My charge for students and for parents, please, for any parent that's listening, when you are home at night, please ensure that you read to your children. We're asking if you can simply read one book to your child, and do that consistently, we will see the benefits and the gains that we want to see in the school district, but that you also want to see as a parent. Here are some high-level results from our survey. We had 938 parents complete the survey with a mean score of a 4.3, and that is on a scale from 1 to 5. The students, we had 4,722 students participate with a mean score of 3.78, and approximately 985 employees participate with a mean score of 3.67. At a high level for the employee experience, we received positive indicators here. One, an average score of a 4.36. Employees indicated that they strongly believe their work positively impacts students. This indicates a shared commitment to the district's mission of student success. Staff members also indicated that they have a clear understanding of the organization's missions and goals, contributing to alignment and purpose in their roles. So that means that the conversations we're having at this level about district level goals, they are in fact trickling down to our frontline employees, and they're clear about the direction that we are moving in. I want to thank the board for approving the 5-year strategic plan, which we work hard to implement daily. Now, we do have 2 areas that we are going to focus on. I'll start with the first, which is the timeliness of organizational communication. So employees indicated that there is certainly room for improvement in how timely organization-wide information is shared from the district. We've heard this in a number of conversations during the year. This was also a reoccurring theme in the roundtable. We are receiving training as a leadership team. Our next training session will take place next Thursday, in which we will develop the strategies to roll out the survey results for each school and each division. It's very important that we have alignment and that we follow the cadence. So when employees say, when they're talking about the timeliness of organizational communication, there are some things that happen sometimes in the normal course of business that may allow for an employee to receive information outside of the normal cycle or the normal chain of cascading. That certainly causes problems in the organization. So we want to make sure that we tighten that up and that we leverage the communication platform that we've developed to push out information more frequently to our team members. The next area is maximizing organizational resources. So there's a perception that resources could be better allocated for organizational effectiveness. And we are, in fact, making some changes during the current budget development process by giving ownership to more of our management team members and also pushing our principals to ensure that they include every staff member in their building in their budget development conversation. Traditionally, classroom teachers receive an annual allocation, which may range from $300 to $500. They usually go and make orders and add data to purchase their supplies, et cetera. However, that really allows them to operate in isolation of that budget development process that's taking place for the whole entire school. So we want them to be front and center and have their rightful place at the table. Moving on to our students. Students have indicated they believe their principals are good leaders reflecting strong leadership perceptions at our schools. Students also indicated that they feel their learning is important at school, indicating that there is a shared emphasis on academic values. And I think that's very important for us. We're going to continue to push rigor. We're going to continue to make data-driven decisions. And it is, I think, a good sign that our students see that in their buildings, their education is being valued and prioritized. However, we also have areas of improvement. Students have indicated or reported experiencing meanness online or through text, highlighting a concern with cyberbullying or online interactions. Students have also indicated or noted exclusion from groups or activities, pointing to potential issues with inclusivity and social dynamics. So we've been very aggressive with the development of the Office of Equity, and there's more work that we have to do with these particular indicators. While we've seen a reduction in the number of incidents that have occurred in our schools, we also have to pay particular attention to how our students are interacting on social media platforms, how they're engaging via text messages, et cetera. Hence, the push to utilize our platform, Parent Square. Not only does that allow for us to engage with parents, but it also allows for students to interact with one another through that platform. I really believe that students will behave a little better in more controlled environments when they know that there are people who could possibly be watching or looking at these two-way communication between them and others. I think the governor's recent announcement about the use of cell phones in schools also presents another unique opportunity for us to address how our students may be interacting and engaging on social media platforms or through text messages. Moving on to the parent experience, our parents feel respected by the school, right, showing a strong relationship between schools and families. Parents also believe that their child's learning is a high priority, reflecting trust in the school's academic commitment. However, we also have work to do here in these areas, very similar to what the student said. So parents report concerns about students being mean to each other online or through text, pointing to issues with digital conduct. And parents have also expressed concerns about their students being excluded. So those two indicators were the same across those two stakeholder groups. Some of the interventions, I already talked about the training that we're implementing. I think we're halfway through this year as a leadership team, taking on this training, following those cadences. And we're going to continue to create improved communication channels through Parent Square. So for those of you who are listening at home, Parent Square, this is the official communication tool of Plainfield Public Schools. Right? We are constantly sending out messages. We have a high adoption rate at our schools. We're going to continue to push those channels to ensure that we are effectively communicating. And as we, again, talk about allocating resources, we're going to push that down to our frontline staff members. So what does this mean for, let's say, a content area supervisor? In prior years, their budgets really rolled up to the directors or to the chiefs of those particular offices. We are ripping the Band-Aid off, and you supervisors, you are going to have the autonomy to do what you need to do in terms of developing your own budgets, making sure that you have control over those decisions that are being made for your divisions. We think that from an administrative standpoint, it obviously lightens the load, but it also brings forward more collaboration, and I think our team members will see and understand that they too have a seat at the table. So I'm looking forward to implementing those changes. Going back to our demographic study, I want to again thank Dr. Grip for that presentation. No need to go into these highlights because I think we already heard that information from him. All right. We understand what our future enrollment projections are, right, and where we are seeing the greatest impact. Right. So when we look at our current shortages and we look at where we're projected to be in the 29-30 school year, it's very clear we need another middle school. I've talked to our board president, talked to our vice president and many other commissioners about this, particularly over the last few years. But this demographic study has confirmed what we knew a year ago, probably 2 years ago. Now, when we think about our path forward, I want to just highlight what actions we've taken so far as an administration. Today, I contacted the CEO of the New Jersey School Development Authority to inquire about making us a priority on their list of new schools. So for those who are listening, we are an SDA district, and administrative code and statute determines that the New Jersey School Development Authority is the entity that's responsible for constructing new schools for our district. The challenge that comes along with that is that the SDA cannot do any work unless they are funded by the legislature, right? So they can have a list of 50 projects ranging from new school construction or school expansion projects, but they cannot execute any of those projects without receiving an additional round of funding. So having this conversation, one, allowed me to confirm that based on our current long-range facilities plan, we already identified in the 22-23 school year that we needed a new school. The current enrollment projections that we received from Dr. Grip, we will move forward with updating that long-range facilities plan so that it accounts for that movement. So in 22-23 school year, many of the students that we are seeing across the middle school, they were elementary school students, right? So we didn't build the school. Those students, however, continue to grow. They're a lot bigger, and guess what? They're in different schools now. So we're seeing that need really grow across the middle school. So I'm very clear very clear about what we need. We need a new middle school here in Plainfield Public Schools, and we need it like yesterday. So when we think about this process and how it will play out going forward, I think this is an area of opportunity for us as an administration and as a board to really get in the horn with our elected officials and start to lobby for some support so that there's an additional round of funding for the New Jersey School Development Authority. No funding for the SDA likely means no schools in our community. While we are also engaging with the City of Plainfield and developers, and I want to be clear, these have been preliminary conversations so that we can understand all options that are available for our district. If we sit quietly and are waiting for the SDA to build a new school with no funding, we'll be having the same conversation year after year after year. So in preparation for, let's say, that round of funding not coming to fruition, we also want to be able to possibly take advantage of some other funding methods such as new market tax credits, et cetera. A little innovative, maybe unconventional for what public schools have traditionally done, but I want to be able to package that and at least provide the board with every option that is available so we can understand what this looks like for us as we move forward. So I would also add one more thing. I would ask if we could introduce as a walk-on agenda approval for the district's architect to submit the new enrollment projections that were provided this evening to the Department of Education so they can be added to the long-range facilities plan. That will allow us to make sure that when the conversations take place, they have accurate data that reflects the true needs of the district. All right. Moving on to special education update, I thought it was important to carve out a little bit of time to talk about this evening. Through our board members, commissioners, you've received some phone calls from parents at times about some concerns with our implementation of IEPs. We did do an internal audit, right, that was previously done, and that audit really showed that we were lacking compliance with roughly 2% of those IEPs. However, we are continuing to be aggressive with our approach of being a more inclusive school district. This is not just an initiative for Plainfield Public Schools, but it is actually a statewide initiative to place our students in the least restrictive environment. But it's easier said than done sometimes, right? It definitely comes with challenges, but parents also have to be partners in the work. We can't lead the charge with an initiative or strategy like this without having our parents walking side by side with us. So this pie chart just shows where we are right now in terms of our special education population. Students who receive special education programming, right now, 40% of those students are receiving their programs in the Gen Ed setting, right? And then we have roughly 45% of those students who are spending more than 40% of their time in the gen education setting. And then we have 15% of our students who are spending less than 40% of their time in the general education setting. This is something that will take time to continue to build, but the baseline is 48.6% compared to the state average of 30.8% of students at or exceeding that. So that means when you think about inclusion at the state level, Plainfield Public Schools is in fact outpacing the state of New Jersey when it comes to giving our students who receive special education programming the opportunity to be in a more inclusive general education setting. So with that, I want to just tee us up for 2 actions that are taking place. We are set to have a full audit through the desk monitoring data collection form, and that is really related to our IDEA funding. But this is going to be a full-on audit of the district's special education programming. So we're currently preparing for that. We welcome this. Any opportunities for us to assess our current practices and to adjust and to make sure that we are providing the best services possible moving forward, we welcome that. In addition to this audit, I've worked and authorized our Chief of Student Services, Dr. Beth Filipatos, to work with our school business administrator to procure services from an outside consultant to also come in and conduct an audit as well. I've asked for that audit scope to consist of an audit of 20% of the current IEPs that we have in the district. There's what we see as a team member, but it never hurts to have a set of eyes from the outside come in to assess our programs. And this is all about us getting better and ensuring that we're providing better services for our families. All right. So this is what I just talked about, the timeline. And I'll pause there if there are any questions from commissioners at this time.
So thank you for that, Mr. Hassan. I don't necessarily have any questions that I don't already have the answer to based on your presentation and from having these conversations. Just to state that we appreciate the administration and your thoroughness in providing this information. This information is very critical. It coincides with exactly what Mr. Grip just laid out for us and what we all know about what's going on within our community and the need for additional space for our students. So we appreciate the breakdown, sharing it with us, sharing it with the public, and making sure that you articulate it in a way that we understand so that we get the full scope of things. While we're advocating, they know exactly what we're advocating for and why there's a dire need for us to keep advocating for more space for our students, more schools, and how we have to take that a little further than just Plainfield Public School District. It's going to take state legislation and the support of our elected officials, as you said, and partnerships with our local elected officials to ensure that this happens for our students, because we're going to be looking at potentially just not having the capacity to house the students that we have. And then you think that we have overcrowded classrooms now, but those numbers will continue to increase, and then our teachers will get burnt out, and then that's a whole nother battle that we're going to have to fight for our teachers and our staff and our administrators alike. So I just want to say thank you. I commend you all for the work that you're doing. Again, just let us know how we can support. We support in every way that we can, as long as it's in the best interest of the district, and obviously advocating for this is.
Thank you, Madam President.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Yes.
I'm sorry, yeah, just one quick question. Is this the first year for this data, or do we have like previous year for in particular, the parent-student,
The surveys?
survey, right?
So this is the first year for this survey data, and we are working with an organization, Student Education. That organization provides me with executive coaching as a superintendent. They also work with our cabinet, so that's where we're getting the training. They also come in and work with our turnaround school principals, and also with the admin team. So everyone who's an administrator in the district has a 1 month, an experience with that group once per month. This is our first year utilizing this survey. The reason we've gone to use this survey is because it's all together, it comes with the coaching, but we also get rankings against other school districts throughout the country that utilize this survey as well. So it's not just telling us, it won't just tell us the story about how we're doing here at home, but when we go through the next round of surveys, we'll be able to compare ourselves to other districts throughout the nation. So very important for that, and it'll allow us to now build upon that so we can go and see how we perform year over year.
Thank you. Then I had just one more comment. It was related to something actually earlier. Again, remember Mr. Young, long time employee of the school district, as we do have a number of them. I hope at some point we find a way to memorialize, changing hallways, libraries, or finding a place to put names up on the wall of people who have given so much time to the school district and have contributed so much. I also think it contributes to a school environment in which we're acknowledging people who started their career here, ended their career here, or just gave a significant amount of their time in helping to raise students, young adults, people inside the district of Plainfield. So again, I think you did a wonderful job. Just hope again as a board we figure that out.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? And also you can absolutely add that walk-on item to the agenda so that it can be voted on this evening for that information to be sent.
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome. All right.
What's that motion for public comment?
Do we have a second?
Been properly moved by Commissioner Andrews and seconded by Commissioner Smith that the board now go into public comment at this time. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried. At the business meeting, privilege of the floor will be provided for 30 minutes for the public prior to committee reports. Members of the public in attendance will have the opportunity to raise concerns during this period of the meeting. Members of the public may speak once for a maximum period of 3 times by the clock. This time is not transferable from one individual to the next. Privilege of the floor is now open.
All right. Do we have anybody in person here that would like to come to the floor and speak regarding any concerns or ask any questions of the board or the superintendent and his administration? Where's our audience tonight? Oh, well, thank you. Do we have anybody online, Nick? All right.
Like to
Well,
make a
I'll
motion to
entertain a
close
motion to
public
close
comment.
public comment.
Second.
Been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Andrews that the
This
board
is a
now
first.
close privilege of the floor at this time. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
All right. Mr. Cox, before we get into any voting of anything, I just want to make sure that, yes, the walk-on item. And I also just want to make sure that any board members that are on the agenda recuse from themselves. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Commissioner Andrews is throwing me off. I'm a roll with it, though. I'm a roll with it. I mean, I got it. Okay. So we do have a committee report from our policy committee members. They would like to share, so they now have the floor. Are you guys going to share from your seats? All right. The birthday girl, Commissioner Smith, is going to share with us this evening.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This evening, I would like to highlight an inspiring experience Vice President Victor Webb Jr. and I had this past week as a part of our dedication to the historical preservation policy passed by the board on October 15, 2024. This policy underscores the Plainfield Public Schools District commitment to preserving and honoring the cultural and historical heritage of our community by safeguarding valuable artifacts, documents, and memorabilia. This policy is our promise to maintain the rich legacy of Plainfield for future generations to come, while fostering cultural awareness and community engagement. As highlighted in tonight's demographic study, our city is expanding. Intentional measures like the historical preservation policy ensure that our collective stories, milestones, and achievements are remembered, because honestly, if we don't, they will ultimately be replaced or misplaced. On Thursday, VP Webb and I and a few other district stakeholders had the privilege of meeting Mr. Martin Cox, a lifelong Plainfield resident and historian. For over 3 decades, Mr. Cox had contributed to preserving the city's past through generous donations to the local history and special collections department at the Plainfield Public Library. This extraordinary department, overseen by Ms. Sarah Hall, is one of New Jersey's few climate-controlled facilities solely dedicated to preserving local history. Our visit was a profound experience. We discovered treasures like Board of Education agendas from 1897, a diploma from 1910, and Plainfield High School yearbooks dating back to 2003. So I just want to put this in context. This department in the library has every single Plainfield High School yearbook dated back to 2000 to 1903, with the exception of 5. And we need to find those 5, but with the exception of 5. So these items are invaluable pieces of our shared identity and a testament to the vibrant history of Plainfield that defines each and every one of us. Walking through the archives reaffirmed the importance of preserving today's moments for tomorrow's generations. To strengthen these efforts, the Policy Committee is seeking the board's support to formalize a partnership with the local history department through an MOU. This partnership will establish a liaison between the district and the library to continue to preserving these key artifacts. Action steps and more details on particulars will be discussed in greater detail at another time. All in all, this collaboration will would reflect the essence of community partnerships, because in my opinion, it's one thing to create a policy, but if you just create it, it's just a file number if you're not going back to the community constantly to see how you could bring them in and how it truly benefits the ever-changing evolution of our district. So on behalf of the Policy Committee, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Cox and to the Plainfield Public Library Local History Section. Together with continued community involvement, we can expand upon the historical preservation policy in a way that honors Plainfield's past, embraces our present, but ultimately builds a future rooted in the pride and respect for our city's legacy as we continue to move Plainfield Public Schools forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. And again, on behalf of the board, we appreciate you guys for being in attendance. at that event. Unfortunately, I was not there. However, I was because you all were there, and we work as a team, right?
One small correction, although it was a small correction. When you mentioned the historian Martin Cox dedicating 3 decades, it's more like 6.
Fair. Please give respect to him. Absolutely.
All right. Well, do we have any more committee reports? Eric, you got one, right? Oh, okay. All right. Are you sure?
I'd like to make a motion for a consent agenda to move.
One second, Mr. Webb. There are a few walk-on items that we do still need to.
Yes.
Please.
Procedural. They're literally being walked over now, so I can start on the first 2 that have already been moved over. The first one will be letter P under the Office of Business Operations. Number 15 will be the item number. It'll be a walk-on for authorization to submit the Long Range Facilities Plan, LRFP walk-on. And it reads, authorization to submit the Long Range Facility Plan, whereas the New Jersey Department of Education requires school districts are required to amend their Long Range Facilities Plan at least once every 5 years. The Plainfield Public School District's Architect of Record is DMR Architects, and be it resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education authorizes the submission of the district's major amendment to LFRP as prepared in conjunction with DMR Architects to the New Jersey Department of Education in accordance with the requirements of the New Jersey Department of Education. Again, that will be item P15. Item P16. This will be a walk-on agenda item for one of the RFPs that was recently concluded, process that was recently concluded. Item 16, RFP 2025-12 for auditing services. Whereas the Plainfield Board of Education sought proposals for auditing services through RFP 2025-12, and all proposal submittals were reviewed and evaluated. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education hereby awards the contract for auditing services to RFP 01EC-23 to PKF O'Connor for the 2024-2025 school year at a cost of $95,000 for the annual audit. P17, sorry, I'm just refreshing my board docs. P17 will also be Business Operations. Item 17 for RFP 2025-19, E-Rate Consulting Services as a walk-on item. Whereas the Plainfield Board of Education sought proposals for E-Rate Consulting Services via RFP 2025-19, and all proposal submittals were reviewed and evaluated. Therefore, be it resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education hereby awards the contract for E-Rate Consulting RFP 2025-19 to Solix INC for the 2024-2025 school year at a cost of $14,000 annually. Last one will be P as well. P18. Be it resolved, based on a report issued by the school business administrator, this is for construction, this is a competitive contracting RFP for construction management services. Be it resolved, based upon the report issued by the school business administrator, board secretary, and pursuant to NJSA 18A:18A-4.5D, the Board of Education hereby awards a contract for construction management services to Answer Advisory Management, LLC, 500 Campus Drive, Florham Park, New Jersey, 07932. The contract was procured through the competitive contracting request for proposal process in accordance with NJSA 18A:18A-4.1 as well as NJ Administrative Code 5:34-4.1. The Construction Management Services proposal, competitive contracting RFP 2510 was advertised to be received on Friday, January 3rd, 2025 at 11:30 a.m. On that day and time, the board received 7 proposals: Answer Advisory Management, CME Associates, Epic Management, Inc., Legacy Construction Management, Inc., M&M Construction Company, INC, New Road Construction Management, Inc., Pinnacle Consulting and Construction Services, Inc. The Office of the School Business Administrator reviewed the proposals, and all documents were submitted by the vendors were in order and compliant, save one. Upon reviewing the proposals submitted by Pinnacle Consulting and Constructing Services, it was noted that Pinnacle's DPMC pre-qualification classification for construction management services had expired. Pinnacle could not provide a current DPMC pre-qualification classification pursuant to NJSA 18A:18A-27.1. The vendor failed to meet the proposal requirements by not submitting the current DPMC classification. The Board of Education, in accordance with NJSA 18A:18A-4.5B, hereby disqualifies Pinnacle's proposal from further consideration. For the evaluation process, proposals were evaluated in accordance with technical, management, and cost criteria as noted in NJAC 5:34-4.2 and from the guidance of the New Jersey State Comptroller's Office, with the following publications issued in 2010: Best Practices in Awarding Services Contracts. The district prepared an evaluation scoring form assigning points to the criteria based on importance. The form is based upon the value of 100 points. The competitive contracting proposal was evaluated in the following areas: technical, 30 points, management, 30 points, cost, 40 points. It was further noted in the RFP that the evaluation process would include but not be limited to the following: experience of the vendors, business organization, management approach, qualification of the vendors. For the evaluation process, the selection committee was the school business administrator selected a committee to evaluate the process. The committee members were noted as follow: Cameron E. Cox, School Business Administrator Board Secretary; Jeffrey A. Morton, Assistant Business Administrator; Tasheen Crosby, Supervisor of Purchasing; James Shoup, Technical Advisor for Cross Criterion. Evaluation scoring, each individual submitter that was still considered, the 6 that were still scored, is listed in the resolution. With the recommendation of the award pursuant to NJSA 18A-18A-4.5D, I recommend to the Board of Education that a contract for construction management services in accordance with the terms and conditions of Proposal CC RFP 2025-10 and the hourly rates listed below be awarded to Answer Advisory Management, LLC, for their project executive, $225 an hour, for their construction manager, $148 an hour, and for their inspector/field manager, $150 per hour. I know this is a little bit more lengthy than the reading of the other RFPs, but as I spoke to the subcommittee, the language relative to this type of RFP is very specific and outlined by law, and so we wanted to make sure that that entire resolution got read into the record. Madam President, those are the 4 items that I needed to walk on after the original vote. Just to recap, it was the walk-on for authorization to do the long-range facility plan major update. It was the walk-on to award RFP 2025-12 for auditing services, the walk-on to award RFP 2025-19 for E-rate consulting services, and the RFP 2025-10 for competitive contracting RFP, for construction management service. That's all I have at this time, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. So I'll now entertain a motion for consent agenda.
Moved.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Andrews and seconded by Commissioner Vice President Webb that the board move the agenda as a consent agenda. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
It's Been properly moved by Commissioner Andrews and seconded by Commissioner Vice President Webb that the board now approve the consent agenda at this time. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, I will call the roll. Commissioner Andrews?
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Webb?
Yes, with the recusal from any items, approve my travel, regarding my travel.
Yes, sir.
Y'all don't start. Y'all don't start. We did that already. Thank you.
Commissioner Dr. Harris? Commissioner Hembry?
You do it, then everybody gonna do it.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner President Wyatt?
Yes.
Madam President, with the recusal of individual travel and/or reimbursements, all agenda items still pass.
Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Hembry, as well as Commissioner Andrews, that the board now adjourn this meeting in the public. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed have the same right. Motion carried, meeting adjourned at 8:57 p.m.
All right now.
Ladies, thank y'all. Try to keep it short. We'll feed you. Next time.
Turn them.